Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Affinity Insight preview on Microsoft Word styles. I'm Senior Consultant Danielle Davis-Rowe. I see we have a lot of familiar faces in the audience. You've been to some of our other Affinity Insight previews. Welcome back. And to those of you who are joining us for the first time, an extra special welcome to you. I always like to get these started with a poll. I would love to know, what is your level of experience using Microsoft Word styles? So when that poll pops up, just go ahead, gives me an idea of where everyone's at coming into this. I'll give you guys just a minute to answer that before we move on. I see lots of results coming in here. We've got people all over the place. Fantastic. Some people, we need to figure out what styles are, which is great. We're going to start there with what styles are. So you are in a good place. This is our introductory session on styles. And I see some people consider themselves a styles expert, but I hope you'll learn a thing or two from this. All right. It looks like we've got almost everyone's answers in. So I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. We're going to do just a couple of slides before we dive into Microsoft Word here to make sure everyone's on the same page. I'm going to go ahead and stop my video just so you guys can see my screen larger. I want to make sure everyone's able to see that. So let's talk about why we want to learn styles. I'm sure you all have your own reasons for being here. But some of the really important reasons for learning styles are that Word uses styles without your knowledge or consent. You may say, I haven't used styles in Word before, right? 18% of you attending this have said this. But while you haven't intentionally used styles, Word is using them on the back end. So you haven't said you're using them, but Word's using them anyways in every single document that you have ever touched. And you can't turn them off. You can't say, no thanks, Word, I'm not interested in this feature. So you might as well learn to harness the power of styles and take advantage of all of that so that Word's not dictating the way you do things, because that's where we run into a lot of frustrations with Word, right? We get weird fonts popping up here and there, and it's all because of how the styles work and the fact that we're not telling Word what we want it to be doing with them. And honestly, if you don't control styles, they will control you. And we always want to be in control of Microsoft Word. And oftentimes, when I talk to people and they're like, yeah, I'm a Microsoft Word expert. We've got this issue with the numbering here, and, I click these 5 buttons and it fixes it. They're workarounds. They don't know that they aren't actually doing it the way that Microsoft Word is intended to be used, because you can use Word for your entire lifetime and it never reveals its secrets. So, unless somebody tells you there's actually a better way, it just doesn't come out as you are using it. Now, I want to make sure everyone understands the 3 levels of formatting before we get into styles, because styles only do so much. So, font formatting, also known as character formatting, applies to individual characters. I can select a single letter and I can make it bold. I can make it Times New Roman. I can make it 12 point. I can make it underlined. Then there is paragraph formatting, and this is formatting that applies to an entire paragraph. A paragraph is either single spaced or it's double spaced. It's left aligned or it's centered or it's full justified. It has a first line indent or a hanging indent. And then there is section, also known as page formatting. And for those of you who are at our earlier previews, we did 2 full sessions on section formatting. That's things like your margins, your headers, your footers, your page orientation. Styles combine font and paragraph formatting. They're essentially a set of formatting instructions that contains everything we want for font formatting and everything we want for paragraph formatting, and we can apply multiple attributes in a single click. A good way to think of them is in a car radio, right? You buy a brand new car, you get a rental. What's one of the first things you probably do? And unless you're playing all of your music from your phone, you pick your favorite radio stations and you program them into those 6 presets, right? We program our styles into our favorite font and paragraph formatting, so it's really easy to automatically apply that to our content. Now, there's several different types of styles. There are paragraph styles, character styles, link styles, table styles, and list styles. I am not a big fan of character styles. We don't normally need those. They tend to clutter up the styles pane, which will make more sense once we start actually working in it in Word. Paragraph styles also do character formatting. It combines the two of them, so it's more powerful than character styles. We're not going to be talking about link styles or table styles today or list styles. We may touch on some of those during our next session on styles. Just depends on how much we get through the day, how many questions we have, what all we can fit in this half an hour, and that half an hour, how far that we are going to get. Now, that's enough PowerPoint, right? We've been in PowerPoint for 6 minutes, plenty long. I'm going to pull up a Word document and start to talk to you guys about styles and what we do with them, how we apply them, all of those sorts of things. For those of you who have never used styles before, styles are available on the home ribbon in this styles gallery here. And you may have looked at this in a Word document before and you may have said, why would I want a blue heading style that's 20 point and a weird font, right? Brand new documents in Word. If your Word installation has not been customized, the styles do not look appealing. They don't look like something you would want in a legal document. I have customized these styles to work well in my legal document here. Statement of facts, right? Legalese. I don't think anyone outside of the legal field talks about a statement of facts. So I've already customized these styles up here to work for us. The beauty of styles is that if your styles are set up properly in the document you're working in, and they could be set up by somebody else, they live and travel with the document. So if I was to give you a document with styles that are set up well, once you know how to apply the styles, you can take advantage of all of the power that comes with styles, easily formatted, easily work in the document without ever actually having to know how to create or modify your own styles. And they travel with the document. So they go to your client or opposing counsel or the other person in your firm that you're working with, whoever it is, and they can use those and they don't bleed over into other documents and break things. They are self contained in the document. So we can work from this gallery up here to apply styles. I am not a huge fan of that. For one, you can see now I've got a ton of add-ins to Word over here on the right. You might not have so many, but if your screen is not as wide as it could be, right? Some of us don't have very wide screens, or you've got a bunch of add-ins like I do, you can't see a whole lot here in the styles gallery. Now, can I click on this drop down here and show more? Yeah, it depends how your Word document is set up, what you can see there. I've got this one set up to only show 3 for the time being. What I greatly prefer is to work from what's called the styles pane. Also, I jump around on the ribbons in Word a lot, right? I might need to go over to the layout ribbon and change something with the margins here. Maybe I need to go to insert and insert a bookmark, right? Jumping all around. Then those styles are only available on the home ribbon by default. So we've got this concept of a launcher in Microsoft Word. They introduced it with the ribbons way back when. It was a little bit of a painful introduction for those of you who remember that. But these arrows down here in the bottom right-hand corner of many of our groups on our ribbons, those actually allow us to see more advanced settings in Word. They are not obvious that they are a button if you're not used to using them. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it's going to open up my styles pane. Now yours might be floating. It might look like this. I'm not a huge fan of it floating because now it's on top of my Word document. And sure, can I drag it over here? Yeah, but as I zoom into the Word document, it gets in the way. I like to have it docked over on the right-hand side so that I don't have to worry about where it is, right? So, easiest way to dock it on the right-hand side. Bring your cursor up here to a blank spot in the styles pane, and you'll see that when I'm not doing those ripples, it turns into a 4-directional arrow. Once I do that, double click. That'll snap it over to the right in Docket, and it's no longer fighting for space with anything else in Word. It has its own space. The next thing that I like to do is come down to the bottom, and there is this checkbox to show preview. I click on that because it gives me a preview of what these styles are going to do. Now, if you open up a brand new blank Word document, in fact, if I do that here, you can see this. Let me pull it over to your screen. You can see that in this brand new blank Word document, if I make it bigger, your heading 1 might be blue. Your heading 2 might be blue. You've got a title that's huge, things you don't need. It's because I customize these to look like this, that they look that way. Once we have that all set up in our styles pane, we want to turn on our formatting marks. Whenever we are working with formatting in Microsoft Word, we want to have our formatting marks turned on. Even if you can't read a document very well with the formatting marks turned on because they distract you, we're focused on formatting right now, we're going to turn them on. So on the home ribbon, in the paragraph group, we've got this paragraph mark button right here, also known as show hide. Some people refer to it as your paragraph mark. Some people refer to it as your formatting marks. Honestly, don't care what you call it. Turn it on. Click on your paragraph mark. Now here, you will see that each paragraph ends with a paragraph mark. And that's actually a character. I can select it. In fact, you don't have to have your paragraph marks turned on to be able to select it. It's just a blank space otherwise. And my spaces are reflected by these little dots here. This gives me an idea on what's going on in my document, and I can see where paragraphs start and end. So turn those on. Next up, we might want to know if our document intentionally has styles applied in it. Did somebody format this with styles, or did they use what we call direct formatting? Direct formatting is when I select some text and I say, I want this to be bold and I want it to be centered, like that. That's direct formatting. I didn't use styles intentionally to make it look that way. Could I have? Yes, I could absolutely set up a style to be bold and centered and apply it to that paragraph. On the face of it, this is not obvious how this has been formatted. So to tell if styles are intentionally being used in our document, we want to go up to the View ribbon. And we want to go over to our Draft View. Draft View looks like this. Now, for most of you who are used to working in the print layout, which I would bet 99% of you are, we're not actually going to stay in Draft View for very long. So don't panic. This isn't how I'm going to say you need to work to format your styles, but it is how we're going to tell if styles are intentionally being applied. Now, something my screen may have that yours may not have, if you're following along with me, is the name of the style over here on the left. There's a word setting that controls that. So if you're following along in your own document and you don't see that, we need to go into our options. So we're going to go up to the File menu and we're going to go down to Options. Your options may be in a slightly different location, depends on your version of Word, but it should be towards the end of the file list on the left-hand side. Then once we get into our Word options, we want to click on Advanced on the left-hand side. And we want to scroll down until we get to the display divider. It's approximately halfway down. Depending on your version of Word, you'll have slightly different options in here, but everyone on a current version of Word should have a display group with an option here for the style area pane width in draft and outline views. By default, with new installations of Word, this is set to 0 inches. You need to set it to at least 1 inch. That controls the width over here. If it's set to less than 1 inch, you're not going to get the names of the styles over there. You can set it to wider than 1 inch if you want. And you don't have to put in the quotation mark for the inch. You could simply type a 1 and it'll automatically convert it to inches. So once you get that here, click on OK, and you will see the name of the style that is applied to every single paragraph. Word has this concept of a default style. That is your normal style. If you see the word normal over and over and over again, it is a safe bet that whoever formatted the document you have, whether it was you or someone else, was not intentionally applying styles. Gives you an idea of what's going on with the document. When you're done with this and you got a good feel of whether someone intentionally used styles or not, you can go back up to the view ribbon and go back to print layout, back to your normal view. So most documents have normal over and over and over again. That's fine. We're going to start intentionally applying styles and formatting our document really quickly with them. Applying styles, once they are set up, is as easy as clicking in the paragraph that we want to format and then clicking on the style in the styles pane that we want to apply. You will see that when I clicked on heading 1 after I'd clicked in the statement of facts, it removed the bold because I don't actually want that to be bold. You can see that over here. Heading 1 is not bold, but it is underlined. It also has 12-point spacing after the paragraph. Automatic paragraph spacing is one of the wonderful things that we can do with styles. Statement of facts doesn't actually need to be double spaced, right? If it ran down to a second line, I wouldn't want it double spaced. But I do want space between it and the following paragraph. So this 12-point space after, which is a paragraph setting, if I right click and go to paragraph, it's available right here. That is built in to that. It also has keep with next and keep lines together so that if I add a caption or other information above this, the statement of facts never falls at the bottom of a page. It's always on the same page with the following paragraph. Then click in the next paragraph. I'm going to apply body text first indent. This gave me a first line indent. It fully justified it and it double spaced it, all with a single click. I can do it again down here. Click in this paragraph, click on body text first indent. It applies all of that with a single click. Now, you might say, Danielle, we've got a 6-page document here. That is a lot of paragraphs to click on. Maybe you've got a 50-page brief and it's a lot to click on. The good news is you don't have to do a single paragraph at a time. So I can come here and I can select multiple paragraphs. See, we've got a paragraph mark here and one there. Click on body text first indent and it applies it to both of them. Note there, I didn't select the entire paragraph. Look, I'm missing 3 characters at the front here and 4 at the back there. I simply have to have part of the paragraph selected when I'm selecting multiple paragraphs to apply styles. Down here, I have got a block quote. Now, if you say that when I apply my block text formatting here, that this is not how you would format a block quote, I am not going to argue with you. Depending on where you practice, there's all different rules for block quotes, whether we should include quotation marks, whether they should have first line indents, all of those sorts of things. This is just an example of how you can apply formatting with it. So yeah, if you don't agree with this block quote format, I do not hold that against you. So we can apply that there and then come down here, get all of these. Body text first indent. This is also ensuring that my document is formatted consistently. Now, when I come down to argument, I don't have to scratch my head and go, oh, argument. What did my statement of facts look like? All right, let me scroll up. Okay, it's all caps, it's underlined. I don't have to think about all of that. I know to use heading 1. Click an argument, heading 1, boom. It is formatted identically to the statement of facts. Come down here, proposition of law number 2. Well, I'm going to make that heading 2. Then the proposition itself is heading 3. Come down here, body text first indent, so on and so forth. Now, I'm not going to make you guys watch me format another 6 pages because I have some other stuff that I want to show you guys in the last 10 minutes that we have, but applying styles is that easy. Something to know.
Yeah.
What? Yes, Karen.
Quick question. So there's a question that there's a little square at the top, and that every time near where it says statement of facts, and
Yes.
each time you hit enter, there's another little square. Can you just explain what that means? And an additional question was the first indent. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the little square. Don't let me forget the first indent question, Karen, if I
Okay.
forget as I talk about
Okay.
square. So this square here, if I right click and I go to paragraph, and this line and page breaks tab, that's where I've got the keep with next and keep lines together, where it glues content together. So keep with next, that glues this paragraph that's applied to the following paragraph. So we won't get a natural page break. So statement of facts is always going to appear on the same page as the first line of the next paragraph, meaning that I don't have to worry about it finding in the page, having to hit return a few times. It just glues it together. Keep lines together glues all of the lines of this paragraph. Now, this paragraph happens to only be one line long, but sometimes we've got headings in our documents that have a proposition of law or something, right? And they get a little bit longer. Maybe it's a sentence or two. That ensures that we don't get a natural page break in the middle of this paragraph. Whenever we have changed settings on the line and page breaks, Widow Orphan Control's automatically on by default for every paragraph. So it doesn't affect that one. But if I check any of these other boxes, when I have my formatting marks turned on, and only when they're turned on, so if I turn them off, it goes away. When I turn them on, the square appears to let me know that I changed something on that dialogue, right click, paragraph, line and page breaks, that I checked something over here so that I know what's going on. Now, if I were to hit return here, I actually don't get what our attendees are seeing because of the way these are set up. But if I were to hit another heading 1 here, it will show up over and over again. What happens is in Word, generally speaking, with some more advanced style settings that we're not going to have time to talk about today, but we can talk about next week, is when we hit return, the formatting carries over from one paragraph to the next. And so when we turn on that keep with next and keep lines together, that glue, it's going to automatically apply to the next paragraph. Unless, like we did here, we used a style that is followed by something different, which we can talk about in our next advanced one. Karen, let's add that to the list of things to make sure we talk about then. But so that's why you're seeing it in paragraph after paragraph. Now, our next question, Karen, did I answer that first one before I jump over to the first line indent?
Yes, I believe that you did just fine.
Okay, fantastic. If not, put it in the Q&A or the comments wherever Karen got that from, and we will address it further. The first line indent. All right, so normally when I am typing in a paragraph, I would hit the tab key to have it not start over here on the margin. Most often we see this with double spaced formatting, but not always. Sometimes we see it with single spaced formatting as well, right? And so we use a tab key to have the first line of the paragraph not fall over on the margin. So by default, Word looks like this, right? And we're like, oh, we don't want this. So we'll hit the tab key. What a first line indent does is it automatically applies that half an inch or however much you want to the beginning of the paragraph so we don't have to hit the tab key. One, that saves us a click. At the beginning of every paragraph, we don't have to hit the tab key. Two, it ensures that all of our paragraphs that should have that first line indent have it. So we don't have half of our document or a quarter of it or even a single paragraph that formatting wise is out of sync with the rest of it. That's also available in our paragraph settings on the indents and spacing, special first line 0.5. For those of you who are viewing your ruler, and if you can't see your ruler up here, if we go to the view ribbon in the show group, check that box for ruler. For some reason, a few versions a word ago, they decided to stop showing the ruler by default. Now, for 99% of my clients, once you tell Word to show the ruler, it sticks. I have a couple of clients where their IT changed a setting somewhere on the back end, and for some reason the ruler does not stick. But for 99% of them, their IT didn't change whatever setting it was that broke that, and the ruler sticks. So once you check the box to show the ruler, you'll have it going forward. You will see here My first line indent is represented by this little triangle up here. The statement of facts, it's over here along the margin. Down here, it's showing me a first line indent. All right, did that answer all of the questions of the moment, Karen? All right, Karen, you might be muted. If not, I will take that as a yes. We are good to go there.
Actually, I'm sorry, I couldn't get over to my mute button. We do have a couple of others if this is a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take those.
Great. What does the anchor symbol mean when it appears in the right-hand column?
Okay, so an anchor symbol, I'm assuming they're not seeing that in my document. An anchor symbol normally means that we have something like an image or a text box in Word, not normal text. And that is showing us where that image or the text box is anchored to the text. Because as we type in a Word document, things flow and change, right? We get natural page breaks. And that shows when as we add or delete content and the content moves, where that image or that text box, what it's synced with, and where it is going to move up or down with it. And if we have more questions on that, we can absolutely help somebody with that offline, maybe schedule another session on that. But those, generally speaking, have nothing to do with styles because styles don't have anything to do with images or text boxes. They are a separate concept in Word.
Gotcha. The other couple of questions we have are all about how you actually set up a style.
Fantastic.
And I know that's where you're going. So
Yes.
why don't I just go back on mute for now? I know a couple of other questions are coming in when they are put in the Q&A session. There are a lot more complex. So we'll get to those probably at the end. So why don't you just press on?
Perfect. So I know we only have 3 minutes left, but I do want to show you guys how you deal with setting up those styles. So I'm going to switch over to another Word document where they're not set up. The first thing I want you guys to know before you even want to think about customizing, setting up, creating styles is what styles you need. So when I'm working with a document and I need to create styles for it, I take notes similar to this. I look at the document and I think, what types of formatting do I see throughout the document? Are they things like justified, left aligned, centered, a first line indent, double space, single space? And I make notes on all of that. That helps me set up my styles more efficiently. Now you'll see I'm missing my formatting marks. Home ribbon, paragraph mark symbol brings those back on. All right, I'm going to open up my styles pane. So I'm going to click on the launcher here in the styles group and I'm going to dock that over on the right. Now, once you dock it, when you close out a Word and you reopen it, it should stick. I had both of these Word documents open at the same time and it wasn't docked. So that's what's causing that. Same thing with show preview. That should stick as well. Hey, look, it's the ugly styles that come built into Microsoft Word. So the first style that we always want to change is our normal style. Normal is going to be the default for our document and the basis for the formatting of all of our other styles. As a result, if I ever need to change fonts, right? Maybe I'm normally in Times New Roman, but one court requires Arial or something. I can change the entire document by changing my normal style. So over here in the styles pane, I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to go to modify. If you're not a big fan of right clicking, you can also click on the drop down arrow over here. Either way, it'll pull this menu up. Go to modify and you will see that you can go to format down here in the bottom left-hand corner and pull up both your font and your paragraph formatting settings here. So I'm going to go to font. I'm going to make sure that this is the font I need. Now, the average person, when they need to change the font for an entire document, they select the whole document, either with their mouse or Control A. They come up here and they pick a new font. So you might say, well, the whole document that I'm looking at looks like it's Times New Roman, but when I come in here, it's actually Calibri or something. So we want to make this mesh. We want it to all be the same. So we're going to set that up, click OK. Then we're going to go to Format. We're going to go to Paragraph. I'm going to make my line spacing single here. I'm going to do 0 point spacing after and click OK. I'm going to click OK again. That sets up my normal, and then I can then start modifying all of these. And I realize it is 1:30. If you guys have a couple minutes to hang around, I'm going to show you how to modify one other style, and then we'll get into more advanced things relating to the style modification in our next session. I want to show you guys how to set up this heading 1. So I can either right click and go to modify and set it up with format the way I did before with font and paragraph, just like I did with normal. Or what I can do is come down to my document, find the paragraph I want to set up. I'm going to make sure it's formatted with normal to start with. And then I'm just going to select the paragraph and I'm going to apply direct formatting. So heading 1, I need it to be underlined. I need it to be centered. I need 12-point space after keep with next keep lines together. Right click, paragraph, 12-point after, line and page break, keep with next, keep lines together, click OK. So you might say, well, why are we doing direct formatting if we're supposed to be using styles? Well, once I have this set up the way I need, I can right click on heading 1 or use that drop down arrow and update to match selection. And heading 1 now matches. And if I come down here in my document to my argument and I click on it and I click on heading 1, it now formats that way. So we can either right click on the style and modify and set up our font and paragraph settings, or start with normal here in the document, get it to look the way you want, and then right click and update to match selection. Now I realize that we are 2 minutes over. I've got extra time for those of you who have questions, so I'll definitely hang around for that. I would love to know before we take any more questions we have, if you guys learn something that will make your job easier. And while you guys are answering that, I do want you to know that we definitely have more content on styles coming. We are scheduling our next Affinity Insight preview on styles as a follow-up from this. It's going to be on May 20th at 1 p.m. I'm going to be sending everyone personal invites to that one so that we can pick up where we left off. We're going to get more content on styles for all of that. All right, fantastic. We've got some great response in here. Karen, do we have any questions that we can tackle in the next couple of minutes for those who are able to hang over a few minutes?
Yes, and just to remind everyone, we are recording this, so if you have to jump off, I will make sure that you get a copy of the recording so you won't miss anything. We have lots of very complex questions, but we do have just a few. And for those who gave us a Q&A question that's a little bit more complicated, Danielle will get those and respond to them after we're done. Or if we're going to add it to the topic for the May 20th advanced style session, we'll certainly give you a note to let you know that that is where you can find some answers as well. But for now, here we go. Let's see. What does the button only in this document and new documents based ... mean in the modified styles menu?
All right, so here in Modify Styles, we have 2 radio buttons. So only in this document or in new documents based on this template. 99.9% of the time, you want to do only in this document. So I told you that styles live in a document and they don't bleed into other documents and break the formatting in your other documents. That is very true when we say only in this document. Now, if we say new documents based on this template, it's not going to affect any other existing documents, but all Word documents are based on a template. A brand new blank document, if I go to File, New, Blank Document, that's based on what is called our normal template. So we've got our normal style that is the basis for all formatting, and the normal template is the basis for all formatting, including styles and beyond styles in Microsoft Word. Now, we can have other templates, and depending on where this came from, what it's saved as, we could have this go back to the template that it was based on and change it there. I do not recommend I don't think I've ever recommended once anyone ever use this setting. If we want to change how the template that this is based on was formatted, we should go to that template because it just gives us greater control. We can see what's going on. I don't want things to leach out where I don't know where they're leaching out. And if I don't check this for all of them, and what happens if somebody else gets a hold of this and they break the style, right? Because we work with people who don't know what we now know about styles. This setting gets really, really messy. I've never once recommended anybody use it. So leave it on only in this document is my best advice for everyone. What else do we have, Karen?
Awesome. So are you able to talk about, let's see, there's so many questions. Multi-level lists and creating numbered styles for multi-level contacts or contracts. Is that
Yeah.
something that we should wait till next time, or is that a
Yes.
quick thing we could do now?
That is not a quick thing we can do. I can
Okay,
absolutely talk about that. We'll either get to that next time. If we don't get to it next time, I would suggest we schedule a third session. It's entirely
great.
possible we won't get to that. That's kind of one of the most complicated things that we ever talk about when it comes to styles, and that might need its own standalone session.
Okay, great. We will see about getting that set up. Would you consider cascading styles under that same banner then?
Yeah, let's talk about that in a more advanced one, whether that happens next month or not. Yeah.
Okay. And how about applying styles that apply to numbered paragraphs? We
Yes.
have one person that uses that a lot. Is
Yeah.
that something quick and easy?
No, that is not. We're going to want to talk about that with a multi-level list because even if you're not doing a multi-level list, even if you're only doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to want to set it up as though it's a multi-level list. So we will talk about that at the same time about the best way to do it. There's half a dozen different ways, but there is one far superior way, and that's what I want to teach everyone.
Okay, great. Last one then. What do you think about importing styles?
Importing styles is a very powerful tool, and I'll show you guys how to do that. In the styles pane, there is a manage styles button. They've changed the icons a lot over the year. There are 3 squares at the bottom. It is the rightmost of the square. So it's an A with a check mark, although they've changed the icon a lot. In here, under manage styles, is an import export button. When I click on that, you'll see this says document 1. That's the name of my document because I haven't saved it yet. And then we have that template I was talking about, that normal template. I can close that file and then I can go open a file from somewhere else on my computer. I'm just going to open that normal template back up because I don't have one ready to show you guys, but you could go find it anywhere. And then you can come in here and you can shift and control click to get the styles you want. And you can click copy here. And when I copy them over, it's going to say, hey, do you want to overwrite them? Yeah, for importing styles, we want to overwrite them. So I'll say yes to all. And then when I say close, you'll see that these changed. They are no longer Times New Roman. They're Arial. My normal is Arial. Not sure why it's Arial. Probably some training I did. I tend to change that a lot, but it affected how these look. So that's how you do it. The Manage Styles button from the Styles pane, import, export, close your normal, go find the one with the styles you want, and then copy them over. Is that the last question for today, Karen?
I think that's the last question for today. You've done a wonderful job. We have lots more questions, and we will absolutely reach out to everybody with some answers or to let you know that it's part of the advanced styles in May.
Perfect. Well, I just want to tell you guys real quick what we've got coming up next. On April 13th, there's a session on You Know You Need It, navigating your practice management software options. And then April 20th, we've got cyber liability policies. Don't be fooled. They're not all the same. So not me, not Microsoft Word, but some really good informative sessions there. Thank you guys all so much for attending today. I want to let you know that if you haven't checked out Affinity Insight, you can get a 7-day free trial of Affinity Insight Plus, and Karen will be sending that URL around, and we will be reaching out with answers and letting you know what all we're going to be covering exactly next month. Thank you guys all so much and have a wonderful afternoon.